guys, this is Dr. Bidmos with Public Health Talks. On today's show, I will be addressing stress, its impact on mental health, physical health, and how to manage it. And on today's show, I have Dr. Nnamdi-Louis with me to help me facilitate this discussion. Welcome to the show, Dr. Nnamdi-Louis.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you're able to join me this morning. And a brief bio of Dr. Nnamdi-Louis. She's a Qatar-based medical doctor and a stress management specialist. She's the author of the book, Stress We Are Done. I love that name, by the way. I need to look for that book, among other published books, and the founder of Healthywealthy Globe, an online community for stress management and health education. She has helped several individuals and business in boosting their health and productivity through her stress management sessions and webinars. She is the creator of the Healthy Productive Curve, an innovative graph that explains the need for scheduled intermittent rest to work consistently at peak performance without breaking down. I think we all need this. Like stress. I mean, can I say anything else? It's just everywhere. So now, before I dive into that, according to the WHO, the general level of worry and unhappiness in the modern world is creating a national epidemic of stress. Stress is becoming part of the new normal for people, causing a decrease in productivity and health problems that can be initially silent, but after a while can catch up and result in morbidities such as high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, and inflammatory disease, all of which are made worse by chronic stress. Now, on that note, from your personal and professional experience, what does stress mean?
Okay. What I've come to understand is that stress is just the body's natural response, okay, to a huge demand or a perceived threat. So what this simply means is this: you're not in control of how your body is going to respond to a situation, but is based on how you see the situation. That's why we talked about perceived threats, meaning it may not be as huge as you thought. Okay, so stress occurs when you feel you have a limited resource or resources. When you feel you have limited resources to cope with a particular situation, even when it may not be true. Okay, so with that feeling, your body begins to respond by releasing certain stress hormones that will make you to either initiate the flight or fight or freeze response, any of them. But what this means is that it makes you to act, to take action. Okay, whatever coping mechanism it is, whatever action it is, to help your body readjust or to help you cope with the situation so that the hormones will come back to their baseline. All right. So stress, okay.
Yeah, so could that be like, the coping mechanism, right? So can it be like, positive or negative, or in terms of how you respond to it?
Yes, in this situation, it's positive. Okay, because your body is going to, there's going to be increased blood flow to your heart, increased blood flow to your muscles. There will be, you may have to breathe faster. All these things are working together for you to be alert, to act, to take action. You understand? So it's good in this sense. Okay. All right. But when stress becomes a problem is when you ignore what's going on, when you are not aware enough, or when you allow the hormones to persist, like you are always under repeated stress over and over again without those hormones coming down to the baseline, then it becomes a problem.
So that it catch up to you at one point, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like, could it be like you're not like consciously neglecting it, or it's just be like, it's just like sort of like, repressing it, because those are two, different things.
You can repress it. Mm-hmm. You can repress it. You can also consciously neglect it. So whichever case it is, so long as you allow those hormones to remain persistent in your system, then there is a problem.
So I was going to say then, because I see the way you're talking about this, and I, see the passion in it. So why exactly? What brought you to this? Where you felt the need to, talk to people about stress and how to manage it. Like, what is the passion behind this?
Okay, there are several stories, but I'll choose one that stood out more for me. I used to be a workaholic anyway.
Okay.
So in 2018, before I relocated to Qatar to join my family, I was preparing for an exam. I was working. At the same time, I was trying to gather some skills that I know will be beneficial to me in the abroad. The skill was like, it was sewing skill anyway.
Okay.
So I was doing
So
this.
too, I know how to sew.
So I was doing these three things. Like, I'll go to work, come back, I'll go for my training, my sewing class, come back, I'll join an online discussion for my exams. So it was like in 24 hours I was always doing something, and I actually took pride in it. Like, when we are discussing, I'll tell you, do you know the kind of things I do in 24 hours? Taking pride in being a workaholic. So it continued that way. My sleep was affected, my eating habit was affected, and my productivity was also affected, because even though I'm sewing, even though I'm going for my classes, I wasn't working optimally. I wasn't getting the best results. There were always mistakes. Okay, I didn't know about stress then anyway. So with time, I ended up in the hospital
Oh, wow.
because my health broke down. And between the time I was in the hospital and my relocation to Qatar, certain events occurred that led me into stress management. Actually, it was faith-based anyway. So it was a faith-based direction towards discovering about stress, because in medical school, I didn't know anything about stress. So I began learning about stress and understood how it affected my life then. I also understood how it affected my behavior, how it affected my relationship with people. And it also made sense to some of my patients, to some of the complaints my patients were coming with. And it dawned on me that this was actually something that many people are not aware of yet. It had severe damage effects.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. I mean, everybody in the world is probably like, under some kind of stress or the other. Like you
Yeah.
said, we're just going, going, going. Nobody's stopping to take that break that they need. And most of the time, like you said, a lot of people can relate to that story that you just said. Now that we're just going, we don't want to stop, even though we know that, the body's telling us that, okay, we need to stop. And like you said, even though we're not producing like, 100% of what we're capable of, but we're still going.
Yes. That was actually what happened to me. And with the new knowledge I acquired, and I knew that there were people that were like me that needed my help, and there were patients that were spending more in the hospital that shouldn't have. So I ventured fully into stress management, learning more about it through courses and different learning means.
I think that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, I've seen some of your stuff. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I hope that people are able to learn from you and use some of the tools that you have available to apply it to their personal lives. Yeah. So based on that now, so what do you think some of the impacts of stress on mental health? Because that's a huge thing. When we talk about mental health, it's something that's big that we still neglect to take care of to a certain extent. So what is the impact of stress on mental health?
Okay, it's actually huge. It's actually huge, like you mentioned. So how stress impacts the mental health is that it impacts it in the form of behavior, emotions, and the thinking habits. How this happens is that, let me give an instance. Mr. John is just coming back from work, and in his workplace, he's being surrounded by toxic co-workers, like people that are always backbiting and stuff like that. In addition to that, he has a toxic boss that is always giving him a lot of job, more than he can handle. So he's frustrated and he's irritable. And on his way back, there is traffic. Okay, he couldn't wait to get home, but he was met by the traffic and it worsened how he felt. So on getting home, because of all those accumulated issues, he got home and saw let me say, like an orange peel on the floor. It's just an orange peel that someone can easily pick and drop in the dustbin. But because of how he was feeling or how he came back from work, he started shouting, lashing out at everyone, his wife, his beautiful daughter, the innocent child, okay? So because of that, the wife thinks that, oh, maybe I have done something wrong. The wife puts up an attitude, which in turn affects him, okay? Now, in such situation, Mr. John is not understanding what's going on. He can't relate his current state of mind to what happened at work because he's not aware. Okay, so to him right now, the problem is his wife.
Yeah, because of the orange peel on the floor.
Orange peel, yes. Mm-hmm. So now he's having some thoughts, some negative thoughts, like, I'm having a bad marriage. Okay, he's getting sad, forgetting, or rather not knowing that all these things stemmed from his reactions based on what happened at work. Okay, so now Mr. John is always sad. All right, because of the sadness and because of lack of insight, it can trigger series of other things, like there is reduced sex drive. He's not able to communicate his issues with his wife because the wife is angry. So Mr. John is sad. And if he persists in such sad mood, coupled with going back to work and meeting the same cycle, Mr. John is prone to having depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you understand? So this is just an instance. In addition to that, stress can cause anxiety. Yeah. Like I've had a patient who was working in the bank. He was given a target, okay? And he wasn't meeting this target. You know how Nigerian banks are. So he wasn't meeting this target, and one day he came to work, he saw a list by mistake. Anyway, he saw the list, and the list was about people that were going to be terminated from the job. So he saw his name on that list, and that was the beginning. That was the day his symptoms started. So he started having symptoms of chest pain, sleepless nights, and he came to the hospital. He ran some tests. He even ordered chest x-ray for himself to be sure that he was fine. And all these things turned out normal until he came to our own department, where we talked to him. We realized that this guy was having anxiety disorder. Mm. All these things stemmed from what he saw.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, you may ask, how does this have to become, how does this apply to stress? Remember what we said about stress?
Yeah.
You feel you have limited resources or capacity to meet up with a demand. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the demand here now is that he is likely to lose his job, and the resources which he feels he has limited, he feels he has limited resources here, means that he feels he may not be able to cope.
Yeah.
If he loses his job. He's afraid. There's a huge threat to what's in front of him, and he's not able to cope. So all these things has triggered the anxiety he's presenting with in the hospital.
And in some cases, could it be right that it could be even lead to him contemplating suicide?
Yes.
Yeah. Right?
Yes. At the extreme, yes. It can trigger suicide, yes.
Yeah.
It can. So these are actually the two major things that stress can trigger mentally, in addition to other mental health issues like always being irritable, always being moody, or constantly worrying. always focusing on negative things, problems with self-esteem, so stress can trigger all these things, including behavioral changes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And in addition to this, you notice that some people that are into alcohol abuse or drug addiction may be trying to use it as a coping mechanism for their stresses.
Yes. Yeah.
You get? So these are some of the ways stress can affect one's mental health. And on the extreme, just like you mentioned, it can lead to suicide.
Yeah. So would you now say, because that's very deep what you just said. I mean, I really enjoyed all the scenarios, that you presented. So sort of like, break it down so people can actually understand the connections there. So would you now say that, stress is a public health issue?
Yes. Stress is actually a public health issue. I'll give you the reason why. Managing stress, or rather dealing with the things that comes with stress, is actually expensive. Let me give you an instance. In fact, let me just give you a real life instance. I have an auntie, okay, who was recently diagnosed of high blood pressure, and she has been given medications. In fact, she's taking maximum dose of certain medications. Still, the blood pressure is not coming down. So you can imagine how much she has spent on those medications. So when I asked questions, what's going on, I found out that she wasn't sleeping well. Okay. Now, why are you not sleeping well at night? I realized that she's afraid of taking a particular medication because she heard that once she starts taking that medication, she's going to be on drugs for life.
Oh, the side effects of it. Okay.
Yes. So such things triggered anxiety in her, and it made her lose her sleep. So this is an example of stress-induced poor control of blood pressure. Okay, so my auntie is likely to keep going to the hospital, keep spending money on more and more investigations, if only this question is asked: why are you not sleeping well? Or rather, are you sleeping well at night? But it's a public health concern because many people, including healthcare workers, are not aware.
Okay.
We are all used to eat well, exercise regularly. What are all these other cliches? Avoid smoking, drink moderately. We are used to these other ones, but manage your stress is not common.
Yeah.
Whereas it is very, very important, just like these other ones.
Yeah.
So it can be expensive if it is not managed properly. In fact, I've had clients. I've had one that told me about all the investigations she went through, going to hospital regularly, until she was referred to a psychiatrist by one doctor. That's after she has seen several.
Yeah.
Now, it was the doctor that was able to guide her towards identifying the root cause of her problem. It wasn't anything physical health. Yes. So it's actually a public health concern because a lot of people really need to be aware of the impact of stress.
So then, is it safe to say then that, stress is a health epidemic of 21st century?
I agree. I agree because with the statistics, if you observe the statistics with stress in globally, the statistics of stress globally, you realize that it is rising. In fact, the global stress market, that's people that sell all these supplements or anything related to stress.
It's $1 billion industry.
Yes. Yes. There are reports. The current report right now is that the market is actually doing well, and it's going to do better by 2022 and moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
well, because it says, like the WHO thing that I just read, it says stress is becoming part of the new normal for people.
Yes.
So we've accepted this, like, it is what it is kind of attitude, right?
And another thing is that, just like you mentioned, it's now become the new normal. Another thing you observe is that some people, when there are job adverts and you go through it, you see something like ability to work under pressure as one of the criteria, meaning you have to accept to be stressed.
Yeah.
You see,
That's
so
true. It is true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I didn't even think, yeah, that's true. I've seen those, yeah. That's interesting. So like like you said, it's a new normal, which is it something good? It's bad, right? But we've accepted it to be part of to the extent that, like you said, you see job description, they have that you should be able to be flexible. Whatever they do, you should be able to accept, right?
yeah.
So then, is there anything like good or bad stress then?
Yes. I think we talked a bit about it earlier. The good stress is the type that gets you to work.
Yeah.
Okay. The type that makes you productive, that makes you to be highly productive. For instance, if I have a job, for instance, this interview we are having right now, or this show we are having right now, and I remember that I have to prepare for it, I'm going to feel some adrenaline pump. Okay. That is stress response. All right, because I remember that I have a demand in front of me and that I have to meet up. So the adrenaline pump is going to make me to be so alert and get to work, because I don't want to come here and fumble. I don't want to make mistakes, So all those perceived threats is going to make me to want to work and prepare for this show. All right, so that is good stress. It makes you to work at peak productivity, peak performance. But it becomes bad if I always wait until deadline of things to achieve them. Okay, meaning I'm always going to let the stress hormones to always be elevated in my system, So in that case, it is bad. So stress can be good if you're aware of how stress of what your body is going through, or whatever signal your body is giving you at any point in time. You can maximize it for utmost productivity. So that's the stress, yeah.
Yeah, so then I guess it just depends on paying attention to your body, basically, and responding inappropriately. Not within the last minute, because with the last minute you get anxiety, and you're like, oh my God, in some instance you forget, because I think we've all been in that situation once or twice before, where you like, you have anxiety, you have like, your heart is beating, like you said earlier, your heart is beating really fast. You're like, oh my God, I'm sweaty, and and you can't even remember what you're supposed to say or do, because you allowed it to prolong, for a while, right?
Yes.
Yes. So how can we manage stress? I mean, what are the ways, that stress can be managed? Yeah.
Okay. There are several ways, but one thing I'll have to point out is that the first step is being self-aware. All right. You have to be aware of when your body is telling you take a break. That's the first step. And the second one is identifying the cause of your stress. If you're not aware of what's causing you stress, how will you help yourself? Okay. Now we've mentioned all these two things. The rest of them is that you can choose anyone you want. Okay. Some people do well with yoga to manage their stress. I don't do yoga. I have other ways that I can manage my stress very effectively. So just do what works for you. It can be meditation. Okay. Meditation simply means you're trying to zone out of the distractions in the environment. Okay. Now, the next one is mindfulness. Now, this one is a lifestyle. In fact, managing stress is a lifestyle. It's something you just have to make it part of you. It's not something that you just employ when you need to. So mindfulness simply means being present in the moment. Okay. For instance, as we are talking now, okay, maybe because we are looking at each other, that's why we're actually mindful of this conversation. If someone is listening to us, the person is bound to be distracted. The person is bound to start thinking of maybe a job they are going to do tomorrow, or a job they were meant to do yesterday. Okay, so the distractions are a lot, but mindfulness teaches you to be aware. And if you're mindful, you're going to be aware of certain things that make you happy. I read a story, or rather a scenario of where someone is, let me say, someone is playing guitar by the roadside, and people are just moving. If you are under stress, or if you've already adjusted to the stressful world, you are bound to pass that man without even knowing that someone is playing guitar by the roadside. But if you're practicing mindfulness, you're going to notice him, not just notice him, you're going to notice the melody, the melodious song he's producing. And not just that, you're also going to notice how he's going to make you feel. And probably by the time you go from your point A to point B, you're feeling better, you're feeling good, your mood is uplifted, because you're aware of the tiny things that make a difference. That's why some people will tell you, oh, I love nature, it makes me feel good. At the same time, some people don't appreciate that, because when they go to the park or the forest area that is so beautiful, where the breeze is blowing you and all that, they are not present there. They are thinking about their businesses. So while you're talking about I love nature and all that, they will be like, oh, okay, that's good.
So what did you see when you go?
So you get, mindfulness is a beautiful skill that if you practice it, you start noticing even salient things that you didn't know were beautiful, or would make you feel so uplifted, so happy, releasing your dopamine hormones, So that's mindfulness. And since I'm talking about mindfulness, let me talk about mindful exercises. Okay, because exercise helps in managing stress. Not just any kind of exercise, not the kind of exercise where your car breaks down on the road and you have to trek back home. Not that kind of exercise. That one is stressful. So when I'm talking about mindful exercise, it means being present in what you're doing. For instance, if you're taking a walk, okay, you're going to feel how the breeze is blowing slapping your face. You're going to notice how the trees are swaying. You're going to notice the beautiful structures around you. You're going to notice how you're taking every step, meaning you're present in what you're doing. And by the time you're done,
mind off, basically.
yes. And by the time you're done with that exercise, you're going to notice a difference. Like your mood is going to be so uplifted. You're going to be so happy, smiling, There's always a difference. I've done it severally, and this one is not, I don't need to read or hear other people's experience. Yeah, it's really helpful. So if you can also apply the same thing when you're jogging, when you're swimming, even dancing, any kind of exercise you're doing, just be present. So that's the exercise that is effective in managing stress. All right. Now, before I go to other ways you can manage stress, I think I should talk about being resilient to stress.
How do we do that?
Yeah, because whether we like it or not, so long as you and I are existing, we are working hard for our daily bread and taking care of people, whether it's our loved ones or patients, we are going to encounter a form of stress or the other. So how do you now be resilient so that this doesn't weigh you down? Now, one of the things that is really helpful is positive affirmation. All right. So just declare positive things about yourself to yourself. Okay. Like, no one is permitted to stress me out. I am capable of doing this. I am capable to think critically and find solutions. Like filling yourself with every form of positivity you can get. All right. So this helps you that even when people throw things at you via words or actions, you will be more resilient to prevent it from getting to you. All right. So that's for positive affirmation. Now, the second one is what I mentioned about. When you read my bio, I talked about healthy productivity curve.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the second one is that curve. What that curve actually means is just practicing scheduled intermittent rest. I call it SIR, S-I-R.
Okay.
All right. So we are good at scheduling things. We schedule meetings, we schedule businesses, we even schedule how much we are going to, when we are going to pay money to accounts, but we don't schedule our rests. Like we leave that one at the mercy of every other business we have, or at the mercy of others. When they want us to rest, hey, we cannot take rest. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to schedule your rest. Like scheduling rest is a day you set aside to take care of yourself. Because for you to be able to serve people better, you have to
sound mind as well.
Exactly. Physically, mentally, you have to be sound. All right. So this day or days, depending on what you want, but it should be weekly. Any day you set aside should be a day you take care of yourself, rejuvenate, so that you can be able to serve people better, whether it's your loved ones or anybody that you're serving. All right. So regularly doing this will make you to be resilient to stress, because if you keep working and working and working without break, the body must break down. If you don't let it rest, it will force you to let it rest. And when it will force you to let it rest, you may not like the situation.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So that is that. Then other ways you can be that you can manage your stress are things like eating well. Now, this is actually very important. You know why? There are people that are obese today, not because they just decided to start eating more.
Yeah. Stress is,
Thank you. They are eating more in a way to cope with their stress. So there are people that when they are stressed, they don't even remember to eat. But on the other hand, there are people that crave sugar, that need to take.
I'm the opposite. Like, I don't actually eat when I'm stressed out, so yeah.
Myself too. Then on the other hand, there are people that tend to take more. And the thing about when you're stressed is that you start craving sugar and fatty meals, to cope. So when they keep eating like that, in fact, I have a friend like that. She became obese because of stress-related issues at work until she started helping herself. So when you're stressed, just surround yourself with healthy meals. If you're the type that crave food. So instead of going for all these processed foods, you can just take something healthier. Like you can chew on carrots. If you're angry, vent the anger on the carrots and destroy it. And other fruits, vegetables, just healthier options of food. Just surround yourself with it. Don't just keep the processed foods around your house, because you'll be tempted. All right. Yes.
So what are some of the implications of stress for health then?
Okay. For the health, stress can affect virtually every organ in the body. Starting from the head, headache. Okay, you can have recurrent headaches or even worsening migraines due to stress. Okay, it can also trigger stroke. That's for people that already have a pre-existing health condition like high blood pressure. Yeah, stress doesn't usually directly cause health problems, but it worsens it. Either it worsens the outcome or it makes management difficult. Okay, like in the case of high blood pressure or diabetes, stress will make their control very difficult. Okay, and stress can also worsen the condition in the sense that if someone wasn't meant to have a heart attack, that's for someone that had pre-existing heart condition or even high blood pressure. But because of stress, it hastens the process and the person gets the heart attack. Okay, so stress management should be one of the treatment plans of patients with chronic medical conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stress also worsens pimples. It can also cause
Like
absence or
breakouts and,
yeah,
yeah.
yes. It can also cause absent or reduced menstruation. All right. It can also worsen ulcers or any form of gastric problems. All right. Stress reduces immune system in the sense that if your immunity is not strong, you can easily catch any bug or any virus that
You're
is
prone,
flying around.
yeah, any
Yeah,
virus,
just
yeah.
be prone. Yeah. So stress can really reduce the immune system and make you prone to diseases.
So when is the best time to seek treatments for stress then?
Okay. The
Or
best time.
when should we seek treatments, I should say?
Okay. Now, the best time to seek treatment for stress is when you feel you can't cope. All right. Some of the things I mentioned, you can do them yourself.
Yeah.
All right. But there are times when you're aware of all the ways to manage stress, but still you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
There are times when you feel so overwhelmed,
It's out of control completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
At such times, please just get help. Talk to someone. Even if it's just someone that gives you a listening ear, even if they don't have the solution to your problem, but just say it out to someone. And sometimes when we are talking, we tend to gain clarity on
Yes.
how to manage our problems when we talk. All right. Now, that is when you can actually find help, when you feel you're overwhelmed, when now again is when you're having symptoms of depression or anxiety. Depression is when you're having the persistent low mood for at least 2 weeks, or when you're beginning to lose interest in things you enjoyed before. And depression is something that's you don't just snap out of it like, oh, listen to music, you're going to be fine. No, that's not depression. Depression is like a circle where you have low energy, you're not able to do things, you have low mood, all these things are affecting your thoughts. Your thoughts are tending towards just the negatives. And with inability to meet up with things that you usually used to do, you're going to feel worse about yourself, which triggers a cycle. Unless someone helps you out of this cycle, it's going to be difficult to come out of depression. So once you start noticing things like this, that that is beyond you, please just get help. Get help. You can't do it alone.
Yes. So can you tell us then that, these webinars that you have, is it like weekly, monthly, or how can, if people listening wants to be part of your seminar or your webinars, how can they get involved in that?
Okay, I have an online community, Healthywealthy Globe. That is where I teach almost daily about stress using experiences or researches, So I always talk about stress there and ways to manage them using real life experiences. And for my webinars, I host them weekly in some months, not all the time anyway. But I'm currently hosting a course to train stress management coaches because the job is a lot. As we are talking now, you are aware that a lot of people are not aware of this kind of information. So I'm trying to train more coaches so that they can disseminate this awareness on the dangers of stress.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. From time to time, I host webinars to train more people on stress management, just to help them manage stress. But what I'm doing consistently is just in my Facebook community, teaching them daily. Sometimes I invite people to talk on different areas associated with stress. It can be a health issue or just how to take care of their kidneys, things like that. So that is where I'm teaching consistently.
So what's your Facebook? How can they find you on Facebook? Can you share that?
Just go to Facebook and type Healthywealthy Globe. Healthywealthy together, space globe.
Okay.
You're going to find my community.
I'll put it on my page, and so people can find you on there. So if they are interested in joining, because like I said, this is an important public health issue that people needs to be aware of, and know ways to manage it, because it's a silent killer. I think it's safe to say that. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I think you've done wonderfully well. And I really enjoyed, our discussion, and I hope, it's the same for you as well.
Yeah.
And, thank you so much, and again, I will put the information on my page for people that are interested in joining your session, either your Facebook page, right? So this way they can benefit one or two things from there. So thank
All
you
right.
so much, Dr.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So
I'm grateful. Yeah.
yeah, that was Dr. Nnamdi-Louis, such a informative and educative session. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Public Health Talk series. And on that note, if you have any public health topics that you want me to shine your light on, or you want to appear on the show, kindly DM me, and I'm more than happy to take a look at it. Until the next video, continue to practice the preventive measures in place and stay safe and stay positive. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.